And we're live.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you're new here, don't forget to smash the likes. If you're listening in on our audio platforms, do give us your valuable feedback. This it's not a drill. We have been doing this for the last 3.5 years or so. And yeah, feedback, both positive and negative, has really, helped us throughout this journey. And like I always say, what makes the sport is because we have two-way conversation back and forth. But yeah, without further ado, Super Cup champions, not like it needs glitterati or a procession, because this was routine, this was expected, this was what was supposed to happen, and we did it. We did it in some style. The opening 45 wasn't really up to the standards, maybe. Still getting to terms with the start of the season and whatnot, but we'll delve into it. Big up my panel as always. Farouk has been here, will be here. He is the ever present, omnipresent Carlo supporter, right? No puns intended. Big up Sahil. I would like to go to Sahil first, because Sahil has been one of the team's most tireless um, contributors. Over the course of the last year or so, we actually kind of touched base over 2 years ago, almost now. Regarding your interest and obviously my interest to kind of bring you to our side, and it has been brilliant so far, Sahil. I hope, at least from my point of view, this has been a marriage that has worked very well. But over to you, man. First appearance on the pod, and a great occasion to mark it with.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I feel like it took me some time to settle in and then really get
Yeah,
into the feel of writing articles every now and then.
yeah.
And now, like you said, it's the right time to switch over and also contribute to the pods.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just happy to contribute in any way I can.
100%. Big up yourself.
And
Go on, Sahil.
it's a pleasure to be here with yourself and Farooq. I believe there's usually a couple more people, right?
It's usually three, sometimes
Mhm.
four. When Jacob can actually find some time off from his girlfriends. The other girlfriends include his pets. I mean, if Jacob's
Uh-huh.
girlfriend is actually listening in, it's not what I meant, but um, more as well. Like we chip in time to time. When we can actually, but yeah, it's three or four usually. But yeah, man, Farouk, six Super Cup. I think kind of the way we actually wanted the season to start.
Definitely, man. Of course, you never can discount, a trophy like it's definitely it's definitely not a friendly game. It's the season that has begun just today, and the best way to start, it's just by winning. Honestly, it doesn't matter how you win, but the good thing is also like we won with our players playing well. So I think this is just the best that we can ask for.
100%. New look Madrid, right? I mean, new look is kind of far fetched, right? Because what nine or 10 of the players who actually kind of feature, nine of the players, Militao, can be explored maybe, but most of those guys actually won us a double last season. It's a slight sprinkle of magic in the form of Mbappe that has kind of given this side a facelift. But what kind of what piqued my interest was mostly the change in formation. Sahil, was this something that you expected? We knew that the 4-3-3, when I spoke to Francesco in the summer as well, the
Yeah,
4-3-3 was a real viable option, because you would be a fool to think otherwise, right? Because this
absolutely.
front, yeah, this front three would form one of the most lethal, one of the most potent attacks we have had in our side for the large part of this decade, or even the tail end of last decade. Um,
True,
did
yeah.
you envision it to kind of be set up this way? In in a midfield that is kind of fluid, bar maybe Chouameni, and an attack that we expected it to be fluid. And it's kind of fusion resulting in what we saw in the second half, not so much maybe in the first half.
So it is true that everybody saw it coming, that we would
Yeah.
switch back to the 4-3-3 and then
Yeah.
Jude would come into the midfield. And it wasn't really much about that in the end, because
Mhm.
this is just one game, right? We don't
Mhm.
know how it's going to pan out tactically for the rest of the
Yeah.
season.
100%.
And I think what is still intriguing to most people is how Ancelotti is going to manage the egos in the dressing room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially now with a player like Mbappe, with another young guy called Endrick, and another young player in Arda Guler, who's also performing.
Mhm.
So it's more about that, the dressing room. And obviously the formation is going to keep changing throughout the season. One player goes here, one player comes back, and it's about maintaining balance more than anything.
100%.
And the rest will all fall into place once we play the first 5-7 games of the season. The fans themselves will see how Ancelotti prefers lining this 11 up.
100%. Well, we're very surprised
And
that
you know
Endrick.
that he doesn't change it up after that. Beyond that, he doesn't
Yeah,
change
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like he tends to kind of
I
seek
was
a
slightly
formula.
surprised that he wasn't brought on.
100%. 100%. No, going back to your Carlo point, right? Like
I
he
was
kind
surprised
of.
that he wasn't brought on earlier.
Is my voice reaching you late, Sahil? Is there some sort of a latency in my voice kind of,
Yeah, a
getting to you?
bit. There's a bit latency, yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah,
I
that is
kind
an
of
issue. Sorry about
watch
that.
out for that. Now, but going back to your earlier point, like when Carlo kind of seeks or kind of meddles with his chess pieces to kind of find the perfect formula over the course of the first 3 or 4 months of a season. Like you said, once you find it, once he finds it, he basically sticks with it. Farouk, do you agree with that? Like, and that has something to do with how he kind of understands what is required from his players. Like understanding how to basically best utilize his arsenal.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that if there is one coach who, basically knows how to, find a way to, give the creative freedom to his players, I think there is no better person than, than Carlo Ancelotti in this situation. And that's the thing, everyone knows that he has this core group of 14, 15 players that he uses and he just, runs them to the ground, either positively or negatively. Like, this is one thing he does. So once he's settled on an idea, once he's settled on, a way of getting the best out of his players, like, and that's a great thing about him. Like, okay, everyone knows my feeling about Carlo being the coach of Real Madrid, right now. But the point is, you never can take away the fact that with him, like, he's very flexible in the sense that whatever you give him, he's what he tries to, to build up on. Like, he's not waiting for, oh yeah, we need a special number 6 without a 6 we can play, or like, yeah, Kroos is gone, without Kroos we can, do this and stuff like that. So like, he's someone who is very, finding a way to create situations whereby his players are most comfortable, and he just utilizes that. But yeah, he's just, also very stubborn in the sense that he doesn't like to, veer away from the tested and trusted, in the sense that, like, he has just, 14, 15 players that he uses throughout the season, and, till they die, that's just it.
100%. 100%. And he is someone that kind of, like you said, finds a winning formula by actually learning from his past mistakes, which, going back maybe 2 years, we thought there came a point we really actually was kind of led to believe that Carlo wouldn't mend his ways. But as the seasons have progressed, there is a reason why he has equaled Miguel Munoz as the most decorated coach in the club's history. Miguel Munoz did it over 10, 15 years. Carlo has won 14 trophies in his 5-year stint so far. That's incredible. Like, I don't know. The plaudits. I don't know if the plaudits will go on well into this time next year, but the signs are definitely good, Sahil. Like, probably we didn't expect the team to click right away, but the signs are promising, especially in the second half.
Yeah, look, and it's true that it didn't actually click right away. We
Yeah.
took one half of football to actually realize that okay, Atalanta are playing at this intensity, and we might not get that everywhere in Spain,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
in Spain teams tend to play in a low block. But I think Carlos prepared his team for that, and it will take a little bit more time for particularly Mbappe to gel in with those
This is
two
stage
players that are
alpha.
on
You know,
his
we
right and
should
left.
like we all know that.
Yeah,
There's no shying away
absolutely.
from it.
So it'll still take another couple months for Mbappe to feel comfortable with playing around those players. But for now, the signs are good. Yeah, absolutely. And the more we see of him and the more we see of Vinicius playing with him, that's just good, positive signs. Fingers
100%.
crossed, though.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Dedos cruzado. You know, that's what Sid taught me last season. You know, after the City first leg, at least. Big up Sid, as always. But Farouk, the Mbappe Vinicius synergy, it is brimming.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could see even like towards the goal that Kylian Mbappe scored, you could see like, when Vini came into the box,
Yeah.
he was expecting Kylian Mbappe to come near posts,
Mm-hmm.
or far posts. Kylian Mbappe went back for a cutback, so like it's
Yeah.
there's a there's still the wavelength is still not matching each other yet, and it's only normal. I think this is the first game they're playing together, like other than training and all that. So it's
Yeah.
only normal, it's only fair. But that's the thing, like having Vinicius Junior arguably the best player in the world, and Kylian Mbappe as well, arguably the most talented player in the world. So like having them together, so these are two people that can will always find a way to combine with each other, and it's just the first day, and in the first day, Vini had an assist, Kylian Mbappe has a goal, so this is when even they're not, on the same wavelength. So you can just imagine, what the future holds. Yeah, it's looking really interesting, honestly. But yeah, I think there's still, it's just time, man. Like we just have to give it time. Like these things don't happen overnight. Like with time, I believe, that the synergy is gonna go there. And we saw little glimpses of them, today in certain instances. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
with time, man. With time, we're gonna see.
100%. Go on,
That one run that Jude made through midfield, where he pierced through the Atalanta midfield and then he gave it to Mbappe. Mbappe ran all the way through the left wing. That was like Farouk said, that was a glimpse. And again, there was no defined patterns with the front three and what they're doing consistently. But you can see that in some moments, either Jude or Mbappe or Rodrigo decides to do something ridiculous or something like out of the blue that just sparks something. And for now, that's working. Like Jude, when he ran
100%.
through, right through the middle. And I think he got a yellow card for that foul.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. And that is where the goals will come from.
100%. If you remember the Jude, was it the combination between Mbappe and Vinicius, or was it between Mbappe and Jude? I can't quite remember really, but Mbappe kind of tried to back heel flick a ball towards Winnie, but I think the shot got blocked or either he was blocked. You could see that the way they're kind of bouncing off each other's energy is very infectious. It spreads throughout the team. True. And just like you pointed out, Jude Bellingham, man, was in the thick of action, whether it was winning the ball back or whether it was driving with the ball, like you said, so many instances, not just that instance actually. The way he kind of glides away from defenders is a joy to behold, Farouk. We were kind of discussing this before actually going live, right? Is this the most complete version of Jude Bellingham we have seen in Madrid? You did point out your argument that maybe the Napoli game was, a better package in terms of, what he brought onto the pitch. But playing slightly deeper, having a much more freer role in this setup kind of brings all his traits to the forefront.
I mean, I will say this, Sunaid, and I think you already would expect to hear this from me. This is the reason why we paid for Jude Bellingham. We didn't pay money for him to come because he scored 17 goals in, 20 matches or shit like that now. We paid the money from him because of this kind of performances. This is what, we expect from him. This is the kind of, domination we want from a player like Jude Bellingham. Like, with all due respect, like, I really don't care about Jude Bellingham scoring 20 or 30 goals. Like, that's the icing on the cake. But the point is, as you rightly mentioned, you see situations where, like, how is he even getting out of these, situations? He's literally just gliding on the ball. You see he's in his own half, he's backed against the corner, there are two players, and all of a sudden, you just see him, he's out of there. like, there's this, I don't know how the commentators put it usually, but like, it's like a ballerina, man. Like, like you're just gliding.
Yeah.
That's how, you're just gliding
Yeah.
on the pitch with
Yeah.
it's honestly, like, it's phenomenal. And as you mentioned as well, it's like he just cannot miss a tackle, man. Like that's the thing as well, man. He goes in, he wins the ball, he comes back, man.
The ballerina statement kind of, hits the nail on the head. Because, if you kind of hone in on, what Vinicius is doing, if you kind of shine, your spotlight on what Vinny does, out on the left wing, sometimes down the middle, right? He never shies away from a very difficult looking proposition, right? Like he, when it's up against like 2 or 3 guys, or down an alleyway where there's no coming back from, Vinicius, we expect him to do that. Jude, we do expect him to do that, but it surprises me his lanky frame and the fact that he's a midfielder. His tight space dribbling is super elite. It just goes to show, like, he just needs a bit more maturity, maybe, in kind of linking up play better sometimes, like being the glue between the attack and the midfield, maybe in a deeper role, right? That was the questions that was being asked last season by yourself, by so many other fans out there who were kind of alluding to the fact that, yes, if he's being asked to be on the end of things, he can maybe put away chances, but can he be the complete package? We are getting signs of that, at least tonight, Farouk.
Definitely, man. I agree with you. And that's the interesting thing also, we're talking about the fact that, the forward line with Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo are starting to gel together. Let's not forget as well, with the departure of Toni Kroos right now, Jude Bellingham is even going to assume more responsibility. He's going to grow into this role as well. This is also something that we should not forget. He's going to grow into to be the leader of this midfield. So what we're seeing now, as you rightly pointed, also is just, I would also again use the word a glimpse as well. We've not seen the final boss stage, of what Jude Bellingham is or what he can be, for at least in the context of this Real Madrid team with these youngsters all around him. But I think it's a very scary proposition, man. Honestly, like this is Jude Bellingham, still young, he's still gonna eventually, I don't know, grow into that leadership role. As you mentioned also, like knowing when to run or when to conserve the energy, stuff like this. So like it's scary what eventually Jude Bellingham could grow on to go on into. And I honestly, like, I've always wondered, like, okay, last season was there, but like, what do we expect this season from Jude Bellingham? Today he gave me my answer, man. And I definitely said this, that I felt that last year was Jude Bellingham's chance to win the Ballon d'Or. But I feel like if he continues his performances, he's going to be in the shout every single year. Every single year.
100%. 100%. Let me get to a few of the comments in the chat before I come to Sahel quickly. Abega Pashi was mentioning, looks like Lookman didn't get much of a look at the net today. Madrid wins trophies, and it holds true even today. Lookman, yeah.
Carval had him.
There you go. Sahil has your answer. Carval kind of, had him on his toes, but I thought Martin de Roon and the other centre back, not Jim City. Jim City was basically, skating Ice City against Vinicius. It was the other centre back. Was it Toloi? No, it wasn't Toloi. I forget his name. But
one was
he was.
I think.
No, the
one on the right.
darker skin guy.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
I also forgot his name, but I know what you were talking about.
Yeah, he was decent. Like, although he lost the ball for the second goal, for the Mbappe goal. Very, very costly mistake.
Ian?
What?
Or Hien, I think. The one in the middle.
Oh, was it Hain? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Hien
Right.
or Hain, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't
right.
notice.
Right. Ashik was mentioning, while Real is basically winning Super Cups, Barca can't even win Joan Campa Trophy. Yeah, it was funny. Them losing to... Who was it? Who did they lose to? I forgot who they lost to, but they lost to...
The point is, man, guys, I mean, let's allow Atletico Madrid and Girona to compare themselves with Barcelona, man. Like, we should, come on, like, comparing yourself with Barcelona, that's horseshit these days. So, like,
we actually...
Yeah, we're past that.
Exactly, man. Come on.
Yeah. We actually went ahead. We were tied with, I think, Barcelona and was it Bayern or Milan? On 5 Super Cups, we overtook them. Tonight with the sixth.
Wait, does that also
Ash-
mean
Hmm.
this is this Luka Modric's 27th trophy? Would that put him above Nacho?
Luka became the most
Yeah.
successful Madrid
Damn.
player of all time. Many good records were broken tonight. Super happy to see him. And when he came on, since we are on it,
Yeah.
like he looked sublime. He just shimmying players left, right, and center. Just the confidence to command the ball all the time, and the way there was a sequence where Mbappe and Luka Modric were having 1-2s just between them for like 30 seconds straight. Nice to see. Not gonna lie.
Even Arda
Se-
Guler looks really bright off the bench. He gets a
Arda
few
Guler
touches, but yeah,
yeah. Arda
really
Guler, I don't know if you noticed Sahil, right? Arda Guler, Farouk is a huge fan, understandably. He used to live in Turkey, and he used to actually, go to games over there. Arda Guler, when he first came into the side, and like we were kind of, in getting our first look at him, he didn't have his shoulders out this wide. It's almost like he has had some um upper body extra training regimes or something. He just has his shoulders out. He just has his confidence visibly present. Like I didn't deem him to be the most confident
Actually,
guy, at least
right. So this
on the
this is the
outside.
thing. So,
Mm.
sorry for interrupting you, man. But like that's the thing, like it's really
Mm.
important. If you could remember last year, we also talked about this.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, for that last 7, 8 games that Villar was playing, Tony
Mm.
Kroos was giving the ball to Arda, like, okay, you take the free kick, you take the corners. You
Yeah.
understand? Like,
Yeah.
he was basically handing him the ball. And then after Kroos retires, he's saying like, oh, I have never seen a young player like Arda before. Because why? He's always curious. Anything you do, he's asking, why do you do this?
Mm. Mm.
So I
Yeah.
feel like that kind of dropped off, and then he went. Of course, he had a phenomenal Euros as well. I mean, you're literally coming off the back of Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, literally, anointing you as, I don't know, the next big thing for Real Madrid, and you're there, they're giving you the responsibilities and stuff like that. And then of course, like he even like literally physically he bulked up as well. You can see like he's bigger than he was before, like when he came basically
Mm.
number 2. Now
Yeah.
he's looking a bit bulkier as well. So I think that says a lot about because and even if you remember as well when we spoke to people about Arda Guler in Turkey, like we talked about mercurial talents from Turkey before. We've seen players
Yeah.
like Arda Turan. Like Arda Turan was a phenomenal player, but then he had issues as well. We've seen younger Turkish players who
Yeah.
once they could not make it. But if everyone was saying the same thing, that Arda was made from a different club, like Arda had a different mentality.
Yeah.
Arda has a different support system with him and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I think that's just the thing. Like it's really really obvious. Like of course, like everyone who is a fan of Turkish football will say bullshit to us, like, okay, yeah, let's paint Arda as the next big thing in world football. But you can see that it's not just words. Like actually, like it's there. It's obvious. We can see. With the way he is, like he's always asking for the ball. He's always getting the ball. And the important thing is that actually his teammates trust him with the ball.
Mm. So that's a big telling factor, and like you
Toni
rightly
Kroos
pointed out.
just doesn't go about giving out compliments to any other young player,
Yeah, and
So there must be
he's the
something
most
about him.
German of all Germans, right? Like he
Exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
dish out compliments for free. But yeah, man. I hope Guler and Endrick gets a bit more minutes. Come probably against Valladolid at home. You never know. Mallorca away is tricky, so I don't really see them getting significant minutes. But big upset he was mentioning Fede and Jude will do all the running. Since we are kind of on this comment by Sid, Sahil, the midfield synergy, right? You kind of alluded to this is still very much a work in progress, and we as in both us and Carlo, and his coaching staff will only arrive at the final picture probably in the next 3 or 4 months. But what we kind of saw today, is something that I want to bring up, that we discussed before before actually, going live. Chouameni kind of looked unsure of himself and his role. And it kind of
Yep.
affected, how we kind of, had the balance in midfield in the first half. But once he tidied up, we kind of saw that Fede and Jude were able to flourish. Fede took a bit more chances actually going forward and, kind of grew into the game. Jude, I think, nothing really phases him at this point. But
Jude was
what is your
everywhere. Jude
takeaways?
even came to between where Rudiger and Militao were, so he could actually get the ball out of the first phase of build
I
up.
know.
And
But
in that
I even
moment,
saw
I
Vinny
was
there.
just Chouameni was just lost.
Do
Yeah,
you
even Vinny
remember
was
seeing
there,
Vinny
Jude was
there?
there, Valverde was
Vinny
there
was trying to
in
help
one phase.
Chouameni or what?
I do. And yeah, so there's multiple aspects of replacing a player like Toni Kroos. There's distribution,
Yeah.
which I think Valverde to an extent is trying, but
Mm.
eventually Chouameni will have to take up with the balls out of the first phase of build-up. And then there's also ball progression, which obviously Valverde fits in best for.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you can already see Jude doing the dirty work, which Kroos used to sort of support Mendy on the left side.
Yeah.
And as far as like orchestrating the whole pace of the game goes, I don't think any of those guys are that on that level to be able to do it.
Yeah.
The only guy who can
Yeah.
actually replace Kroos in that sense is Modric when he
Mm.
comes on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you look at that and you say you need 4 players to replace one Toni Kroos. And how
Mm.
unimaginable is that? So you
100%.
can clearly feel a void, but
Mm.
yeah, obviously Ancelotti is doing something or the other to fix that and to overcome that. He's obviously
Apparently,
embraced that these guys have different qualities to Toni Kroos. You're not going to get another Toni Kroos again. So
100%. Apparently, Toni Kroos was actually trending in Spain. I don't know if it was on
yeah,
on
I saw that.
Twitter or something, but yeah, he was kind of trending.
Twitter,
But
yes.
Farouk, actually, talk to me, man. You saw this midfield, right? Do you think Camavinga being included for one of, Tchouaméni, Jude, or Fede would increase efficiency?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Mm.
I honestly don't think so. But what I think is having a midfield four, including Camavinga, of course, would increase that efficiency. You understand? And I think one thing to point about, Cyril was pointing about is that like,
yeah,
Tchouaméni looked lost, and because of that, we see Fede already covering more than he's supposed to cover. I feel like today, I feel like one thing that's gonna happen with the game with Fede Valverde's game is that he's gonna learn that okay, not all the battles I have to fight. Like I'm literally not. I'm a firefighter, but I don't have to put out all the fires. Like I have to put out the fires in certain portions. Like you have to. How can I say because the point is when you go around running around like a headless chicken trying to cover everything, of course, which is like this is created because of what Chouameni was or wasn't really actually. Then you create gaps. You understand? Because okay, if I don't know, if Carvajal had an off day today, I don't know, maybe Lookman would have gotten the better of him a lot of times. But the reason why also is because like that support wasn't there as it used to be at certain instances last year. So that's why I've always felt like for this midfield, I feel like eventually replacing Toni Kroos is impossible, but you have to play in a different way. You have to play in a different style. And one thing for sure is that physicality is more of the strength of these guys. Let's win tackles. Let's run with the ball. Let's, how can we break out quickly? Understand like that, running around and, being all over the place, covering the ground, the box-to-box actions. This is what, fits the midfield well. And also it's what fits the attackers because basically we have two of the fastest wingers, not two, even three of the fastest wingers in world football, you understand? So this is something. So that's why I just feel like maybe this midfield, rather than, finding a replacement for Camavinga among this three, I think it's more of a midfield four eventually. That's what this midfield looks like, in my opinion.
To kind of debate that, right? Obviously, right, Sahil. If you kind of take last season into account, the quartet is what actually brought home the double, right? It was the secret sauce that actually catapulted us into one of the most historic seasons in our illustrious history. But in my argument, right, in my humble argument, the 4-3-3 can work, right? If guys like Rodrigo does the tireless work he kind of showcased tonight. Do you agree with it or do you not? I know it's still early phases. We're just going off of 90 minutes of, guys
No
on
question
what?
about that. As
Mm.
far as our team is concerned, Ancelotti is going to get that work done out of everybody except maybe Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius. So
Yeah.
everybody apart from that is going to be running
Mm.
when we don't have the ball.
Mm.
And Rodrigo's included. He's a part of that because
Yeah.
he is capable of doing that work rate as
Yeah.
well as being present in the final third.
Mm.
It's just that it's not really clicking for him right now in the final third. And that will change, I think, with time. Be it the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3, regardless.
No, but my question was, will the 4-3-3 be as effective as the 4-4-2 if, like you just mentioned, the work rate kind of is equivalent to how we saw the team basically.
No, I think
Mm.
I also actually side with Farouk over there, but
Mhm.
again, we don't really know how it's going to pan out.
Mm.
But yeah, the 4-4-2 probably is the better way to go eventually, right? Right now, the 4-3-3 looks all right.
Against the top sides. Say you're playing City,
And
tomorrow.
yeah, you need to be very, very compact against City, and especially with a guy like Kamavinga, you need him in the team. You know how
Yeah.
important Kamavinga is on all our games against City, not just last season. Yeah, so yeah, for 4-4-2 probably again it's very situational thing. Probably against an Atletico Madrid, we won't be playing that 4-4-2,
Mhm.
and Rodrigo will probably play higher, or maybe in a Man City game he won't play at all. Who knows?
That'll be a side to actually
Yeah, because
ponder
his
upon.
is the only position that's currently under question or still
Under
wondering.
debate. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not sure.
But he still can come on from the bench and do wonders, and people would be not surprised
So
to
can
see that
Brahim.
happen.
So can Brahim.
Yeah, so
Farooq
can
mentioned
Brahim.
him earlier.
Yeah. I know. Brahim would be feeling that this is just a precursor. Like he doesn't need to prove anything. Like we just saw even in the preseason games that he can really do a job. But Farooq, let's talk about a bit about Atlanta and how they cost us a bit of worries. Before we kind of touch upon our goals, right? They went man for man, right? Each one of their centre backs took care of one of Vinny, Mbappe, and Rodrigo. Very positive outlook from from Atlanta, like we expected, like we have seen them do on countless occasions, especially in Europe. We saw that against Liverpool last season as well. Were you kind of surprised by the fact that sometimes, especially playing out of the back, guys like Militao looked a bit iffy, shaky to begin with. But then, as we saw, as we kind of grew into the game, Militao and Rodrigo was basically front runners for some of the best performances in the second half.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's the thing. Also, like Militao was also another player that I was on the lookout for because the man's coming back from the ACL, so it's not into it's not a small team, man. So you have to be careful about that. And as you rightly pointed out, like in the first half, I think there was a bit of even in the second half. Like I mean, overall in the 90 minutes, there were like moments that was a bit iffy from
the very first chance, if you remember, like who was it? Derun playing in Zappacosta. Where Fede kind of slipped down the right, Zappacosta kind of fluffed his chance. It was a tight angle against Thibaut, but many occasions like that. Atlanta kind of found a way through our defense.
Exactly. Let's not forget as well. There was also a deflection of Militao as well, which hit the crossbar as well. So there was also
Militao just like have you noticed, Farooq? This is a pattern, right? Like whenever Militao is in the middle of a deflection, it goes very scarily close to it being an own goal. Like this isn't the first time. I don't know if Sahil can back me up on that. Like I've seen many a times that Militao is just deflecting balls the wrong way all the time. No pun intended again. But
I can remember at least 2 instances. of him being in the middle of such situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
really surprised that that doesn't always work, because even last season we saw Militao and Rudiger don't really. I mean, Militao didn't really play at all last season, but the
Yeah.
season before, they're too similar together, and
Yes.
Alaba is obviously
Yes.
like a gel between the two who can play with either
Yeah.
of them.
Stylistically, they clash.
When is Alaba returning again?
Jan, probably.
I really wanted the 16-year-old to not be injured, but poor guy. He
Yeah,
would have
actually.
gotten serious minutes, you know?
Well, that's interesting, man. I mean, with a coach like Carlo
Because
Ancelotti, man,
no,
I'm
because
not
you
too
have one
sure.
injury. Imagine you have one of Rudiger and Rudiger and Militao get injured. You don't have Nacho anymore. Who do you have playing centre back? Tchouaméni and who?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Tchouaméni and
again, he might
Camavinga.
even fit in something like Camavinga or somebody like Mendy. But
Jacobo Ramon. That's our
yeah,
bet. It's funny.
I said this to the guys on the preview, and they were laughing at me, man. I mean, my knowledge of Carlo Ancelotti is the man is 60 something years old. He's not going to change. He would rather
that
play
is
Luka
true.
Modric and I don't know, Dani Carvajal. I mean, come on, Carvajal
Yeah.
even played centre back certain instances last year as well. So these guys will play before those 16-year-old guys. But then maybe also like maybe he will prove me wrong or not. But anyways, like I mean, that's not just in Carlos, MO to
You would hope.
play this to play. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Jesus Vallejo might also play. Who knows, man? God, like crazy shit, man, crazy
Oh
shit.
yeah, I
But then,
forgot about him. I absolutely forgot about him.
so you
Did
remember
you see?
Never mind.
21?
Never mind.
You remember in 21, like Vallejo actually put in a shift. Remember against City at the Etihad.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, so maybe we hope to see that version of
Vayo actually he scored a banger yesterday in training. If you guys didn't see the goal, you should go look out for it
saw.
on Twitter.
I mean, he was just clearing the ball like as a normal defender.
I don't think
Man
he has another button on his controller.
You're being a bit
He's just
harsh.
default.
He's decent at playing out of the back. He's decent. But yeah, he's no Nacho. He's no.
And there's only so
no.
much you can be harsh on these players. They're professionals after all. Even somebody like Ceballos, we keep saying that he's mediocre and that he has to leave and whatnot. But
yeah, but
day,
sometimes he just moves like Zidane. Yeah, I know.
So does Mendy.
Yeah.
Is Ceballos on the market or whatnot?
He wants to leave, is what we hear, but I don't see him leaving.
Just
every now and then something.
Ask them to pick him up.
I know. This is a conversation that I don't want to go into. I'm just tired. Too old for this Ceballos.
Yeah, next one.
Ceballos debate, but yeah. Let's talk about the first goal. Shall we? Jude Bellingham again. Rodrigo, like what Farouk mentioned. Basically, starts it up, and Jude Bellingham, Farouk again. I for the perfect pass. He just knew that Vinicius is gonna basically do it all on his own, and Jim City didn't have a chance once Vinny kind of tried to basically push the ball past him into space. He just does that every single time, and no defender in Europe really can't find an answer to stop it.
Definitely, man. It's either there or a penalty, man. There is no doubt about that, and that's a good thing. I don't know if you guys actually saw what happened there as well. There were 3 defenders on Kylian Mbappe, and this was the reason why it was there basically to just thank you, sir. So I think that's also like an interesting dynamic. That's gonna happen. So Kylian Mbappe is a force of nature. No matter how if he has an average performance or a good performance, or
he's gonna command attention.
He's gonna command attention. Like I mean, how many attackers I mark with 3 defenders in the box, literally in the 16-yard box, the 16-yard box. Basically, like that was the thing. But as you rightly mentioned, like this is what Vinicius Junior does. Like there is literally, what he's gonna do, but there's no way to stop it. So it's either that or a pen, and it was a phenomenal work. And as you highlighted, as well, it's important to give to Rodrigo, because he was the one who literally created the turnover, like with his pressing led to a bad pass, and then Jude slips Vini in, and Vini does what Vini does, and I really do also appreciate the movement of Kylian Mbappe. That's also elite movement there, like taking away the crowd and just leaving, that later on into the box as well. So this is also another thing. I feel like if you have a player also like, Kamavinga as well in the middle of the park, also we know like he likes to run as well. So maybe if also he lets time that run, that's also something that he might also be at the end of, a lot of times, because I think this is what's going to happen if we play with two strikers. If either Vini or Kylian Mbappe has the ball, there's definitely an outnumbering of the other attacker. So if Kylian Mbappe has the ball, I think 3-4 players are going to try to focus on Vini as well, which creates extra space for that later on and a cutback and stuff like that. So this kind of, I think, goals might be something that we will get to see a lot this season.
Sahil, my question is, like, you had mentioned in the group chat that Vinny was kind of underwhelming for the last part of the game, but then you also pointed out that he can turn it on a dime when he wants to, right? But
absolutely,
let me put this towards you. In my opinion, right, no matter what kind of a season Mbappe has, right, right now Vinicius is head and shoulders above Mbappe, at least for me. Simple as.
I do agree.
He just looks the more menacing player.
Even though he's had a quiet Copa America and whatnot, it's just when he comes back to
Brazil had a quiet Copa America. Swear on God.
In general. And like I said on the group chat, he had a very quiet first half. He received the ball multiple times and didn't look himself on the 1v1s. And Mbappe just wasn't getting into those 1v1s. That's a different thing. He was receiving the ball more with his back towards the goal. And again, that's a separate issue where it just didn't click. But like I said, Vinny can turn it on when he wants to, and Madrid can turn it on when they want to. After the 68th minute, we had not. I don't think we had a single clear-cut goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, we didn't have a shot on target.
Apart from the crossbar. And after that, in the next 12 or 13 minutes, we have 2 goals.
Even the Rodrigo chance that hit the crossbar, Vinicius puts in a delicious Trivela right into Rodrigo. I mean, who sees that pass, man? Like 4 guys are basically caught in crossroads. They don't know what to do.
I think Jude would have been offside, obstructing the defender's view if it had gone in. But
maybe I'm not sure. Would he have been offside? Not sure, man.
That's what the commentator said anyway, so I took his word for it.
Right. Was it a Brit? You shouldn't trust them. But moving on. But moving on. American. Right. Let me look at a few comments again. Right. Ashi was mentioning Jude is in his national. Go on.
Do we have any loyal commenters who are always there?
Yeah, obviously, guys like Ashik is ever present. He starts commenting even before we go live. Pick up Ashik, man. Jude is in natural position more now, and what a beast he was today. Defensively and offensively, and then Ceballos came on. Once Ceballos is in, it's game over for whole. I don't know. But yeah, big up Ashik. HRT Gaming was mentioning Ala Madrid. Hassan is here. Long time Hassan. He says, "Hola amigos." Marcus was mentioning Ala Madrid. Dennis is a great big up. Dennis, he was mentioning the season is back, people. Ala Madrid, right? Mighty Monaco, yeah. Ashik was reminding us who Barca lost to. They lost to Monaco. The funny bit is why I remember this. I know it's kind of insignificant because it's it's a preseason tournament. Like we have the the Barabao Trophy, right? The way kind of Yamal and then the boys kind of were looking at Ter Stegen, like he kind of committed murder. I just saw this picture. I don't know if Sahil or Farouk came across it, but it was super funny. Ter Stegen looked like he was kind of the culprit, but yeah. Anyway, it's something for a different occasion, different time. But second goal, Farouk. Mbappe, it was destined to be. Simple as once you saw him, lining up his shot, it was game over.
Definitely, man, definitely. But before that, we also again have to highlight, the work of Rodrigo there. Winning back 100%. The ball, giving the turnover and laying the ball to Vini. Vini trying to put the ball across the goal, and Kylian wasn't there. Eventually, Jude got the ball, and I think again, you have to highlight that, understanding of the movements, and the pass from Jude was, perfect pass that, he just literally needed the touch, because even if you see the kick from Kylian Mbappe, wasn't the perfect kick, well, it was such a good ball that you just needed to, it needed just that impact, and whatever the impact was, it was gonna, as long as it was on target, it was gonna go in. So he was a great movement all around, and yeah, Kylian Mbappe got the goal. It wasn't overall a great performance from Kylian Mbappe, but what better way to gain some mojo than by scoring on the first game, and also in the final as well. So yeah, it was a good goal overall, man. It was a good goal overall.
Sahil, he looked a bit relieved, and he kind of looked a bit more sure about himself, after he scored the goal. What were your takeaways, man, from the first 60 or 65 odd minutes Mbappe had?
I can imagine being on your debut like that after all of that pressure having built up on your shoulders. I can imagine. Yeah, anybody would have been relieved to have scored in the first game. And like I mentioned before, he was receiving the ball way too many times with the back to his goal, with his back to the goal. And again, that's not really favorable for a player like Mbappe.
100%.
You need him to be running behind the line, or you need him to be receiving the ball in the box.
But the thing is, Sahil, let me ask you this question, right? If he is going to definitively be, I mean, it's kind of a placeholder role whereby, Kylian Mbappe is CF or a central forward, right? They're gonna obviously interchange and kind of be a fluid front three. But let's say if the possession gets recycled back into a defensive line, and if it's not us actually breaking on on opposition, Mbappe would still go back to his CF position most of the time. And what happens, right? It will be with his back to the goal. So he'll have to kind of learn to play there.
That is true. I'm sure Ancelotti's staff has been actively coaching him in his first few days to do exactly that. So the first ball that comes through the midfield, either from Tchouaméni or from whoever, he has to receive that with his back to the goal. And it's one of the more difficult things to do as a centre forward.
100%.
But he's Kylian Mbappe, man. What's there that he can't learn?
I can't do that on pro clubs, Sahil. It's super difficult because you're tired of laying off passes, and then you want to just make a run in behind.
Yeah.
But by that time,
but isn't Mbappe meta though?
Mbappe is meta, but no, I'm just talking about pro clubs where you control your own player, right? Mbappe is meta, obviously. Mbappe is just hold down R2 and then inshallah, he is meta. He can literally glitch through defenses, but no, I was just saying, even in pro clubs, back against you're back to your goal. You really can't envision much unless you're gifted like a Benzema, who can basically see a play 2-3 passes before it unfolds. But like you said, Mbappe has to kind of learn to play that. Farouk, do you have something to chip in to this conversation? Like, is this something that we're going to discuss, as the season progresses and we see different iterations of this front three all throughout La Liga and the Champions League?
I definitely think so, man. I definitely think, this is something that is going to be different. I don't see, because for me personally, again, I go back to, I don't see this as a front three, honestly. I see this more as, a front two with, even if Rodrigo plays, as you said, like, earlier as well, like, he has to play that facilitator role. I feel like we're not going to see the same play we saw with either the likes of Benzema or Cristiano or something like that. I think we're going to see something more different, like, as you were rightly, alluding to earlier as well. We saw instances today where, like, Vinicius was so deep, like he was literally almost on the same line as the centre backs. When have we seen our wingers do that? Like, it's I don't know. The last time maybe I remember when Bale was playing against Guardiola's Bayern Munich, when he was almost like a fullback rather than a winger. Like, that's the last thing that comes to mind. But in this situation, it's not trying to be conservative. It's just trying to enhance the flow of the game. So I think this is something that we're gonna see, because with Carlo Ancelotti, like, it's not like there are patterns there. There's creative freedom for the players. So
100%.
so you go to the place where you feel that you affect the game the most. So I think because of that, I feel like it's going to be circumstantial. Like every game is going to bring different different roles and different performances from these players, and that's the thing. Like these are basically like super mega stars. So I feel like super talented players. Like Ballon d'Ors in the making, basically. So like one way or another, they will always find a way to make it work. But I just think like that conventional system that we've seen with the 4-3-3, or whether it was Mourinho's 4-2-3-1, whatever it was, or Zidane's diamond and all that. Like I think
it's always more fluid than that.
Exactly. So I think that conventional system that we've seen, I think it's not what we're going to see with this guy. Even if they line up in a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, whatever it is, I think it's going to be more different. It's a less rigid structure, and just more free flowing structure. Like
so, are you basically kind of affirming the fact that like the more fluid it is, with especially these guys who kind of have been doing it for a bit now, especially post Benzema, this bodes well. This is gonna make us a bit more unpredictable.
Okay, so this is the thing. Like, it makes us a bit more unpredictable. But then when the player has an off day, then it doesn't work that way. On the other hand, or like when
it's a well-oiled machine, you have to just basically go through the motions to.
Exactly. So that's the thing. I mean, for example, you look at City. They literally plugged in Jack Grealish there, and like they won the UCL. In my opinion, I don't think Jack Grealish is that of a super player. It's just the British media that's overhyping him and shit like that, and stuff like that. But you could see like it's just that muscle memory of what to do over and over and over. It's a complete rigid system, and it works. To some extent. We've seen that as well, even with Antonio Conte when he won the title with Chelsea as well. So like those automations, that muscle memory, that rigid system also, it has its stuff. But again, we've seen Carlo Ancelotti winning 2 European titles in 3 years as well. It's the creative freedom as well. So everything works, everything has their ups and downs, but it's just that for me, I would prefer to have a style and rigid system, but not a rigid system per se, but a system where like you just have parts where you can literally swap one for the other. But in our case right now, it's like, okay, you have this bunch of 11, 12 players. But if one of them is out, it's basically impossible to fit someone else in. You get the point I'm trying to make, because there is a huge drop between Vinicius Junior and Brahim Diaz, for instance.
So this
you're right as well, because when it works, what we say is, okay, he's giving them the freedom to express themselves and basically play for who they are. But when it doesn't work, we label it the same thing. We label it unorganized. So it's like you said, two halves of the same coin.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Exactly. Because I'm just going to point out, for example, like you guys saw last year in the Premier League, like we saw Haaland get injured for 3 months, but they were able to replace him with Alvarez. But the point is, in my opinion, there is a huge gap between Alvarez and Haaland, of course. Like, but then
in terms of quality,
you don't see that because why? It's a machine. At the point like this is the
But that kind of takes away the individuality. It takes away that raw excitement when you see a move unfold that you didn't see happening maybe last week. That's I don't know how City people actually sit through games. I mean, Steve would come on here and give us a whole preach about what makes City exciting, but Sahil, I'm super disappointed. This wasn't the way your debut was supposed to go. You siding with Farouk. I expect better of you, right? I was thinking, Sahil, you would be on, my side of the coin, but you kind of ditched me. But it's okay. It's okay. We are all here to kind of agree to disagree, right?
Writers very theoretical. What are you expecting, man? Of course, he's going to go for a system.
I don't know about that. Me, I've always been the guy who likes a bit more, Go on, sir.
Either he's too convincing, or either he's just right, maybe.
Right. Okay.
Or both.
Okay. You weren't being hypnotized, right? Like before I came on into the meeting, right? Because you guys were kind of deep in conversation. So
no, definitely.
I hope not. Farouk can have that effect on the less suspecting folk, right? But yeah, man. I guess that's pretty much it. If you guys have any final thoughts, Sahil, I'll start with you. excited for Mallorca. What's your final thoughts?
My takeaway from tonight's game, actually, it's just it'll take time to see the patterns that we're expecting to see and see the level of performance that we're expecting to see with this team. And it wasn't a preseason game, but it was also not like we didn't play up to the standards of the first game of the season. But at the end of
But
the
it
day,
was
we have
somewhere
a
in
trophy
between.
to start the season with, and it was somewhere in between, definitely. And going into Mallorca, I definitely feel confident. I just, again, fingers crossed, no more players get injured, and
Yeah.
everything stays the same. We continue winning, I hope. Yeah, that's all. Over to you, Farouk.
Yeah, man. For me, it's just shout out to Eduardo Camavinga, man. It's quite unfortunate that the injury, like it was. I shared the worst, when I saw the
When I
news.
saw it, I
Yeah.
texted in the chat, Farouk.
I shared
Boy,
the
oh
worst.
boy.
It was looking really bad. But speaking of that, actually, do you guys remember the tackle that got Jude Bellingham a yellow card today, where like the flick over from Kylian Mbappe, like
Yep.
he got on his shoulder and then like he stretches like to Musso and he got
Yep.
like he hit
At the keeper, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was also like a very risky tackle as well. Like that was like literally.
What about the Vinny tackle on that guy? Who was it on? What was it on Dirun? He kind of left his foot on his ankle.
He left his foot. But I mean, that was like really like impacting someone. But I feel like the goalkeeper literally just fell on like ties. No, not ties, shins rather. So
and
like
even Militao. Remember Militao into the fucking net.
Yeah, exactly.
When he tried to score the goal. All scary stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like we need to. I mean, I feel like
there's so much evil eye on our side. Since we are on top of the mountain. It just I feel super nervous.
Everyone talks about that there's a certain depth to Real
and
Madrid, and I feel like we're one injury away from like a crisis, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? This is Madrid. This is how we roll. Go on, Sahil.
True. And you know what? Watching those particular moments that you guys just described, I myself was like, oh, what if I was there? Because my own ACL right now is torn. So that was.
Oh, yeah.
Like you would imagine yourself in that position. Like I do not want that, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, Camavinga's. I hope he recovers soon, man. Sooner than 6 or 7 weeks, whatever they said. Our players generally do recover quicker. They just get injured again. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's the issue. We should be super careful. Because 6 to 8 weeks is what 2 months or thereabouts, right? I hope we completely disregard that timeline and only fully incorporate him into the side once we are past the group stages. Just take it easy. Play it safe. I'm not sure how the availability of other players also comes into the equation as the season progresses. But Camavinga, we should really approach the situation with caution.
Also, isn't the group stage going to be like one massive thing because of the new format?
8 games, man. We have 2 more games. But yeah,
we're going to have a lot more games, no?
We're gonna have 2 more games only, but they're all gonna finish at the same time that they finish. So it's just like a more compact schedule. But it's gonna finish in December. So once a year turn, we start the knockouts again.
But the away fixtures or something, like we don't play the same team twice, right, or something?
Yeah, you're right about that. Actually, we talked about Australia. Like, so you play 4 different teams at your home and play 4 different teams away. Like, that's absolute bullshit. But then, anyways, I mean, you
break something.
You create a tier of shit that doesn't matter. So the point is basically like, even if I lose 2 games because you have to play like 2 teams from the first pot, or I don't know, from the first league or whatever.
Yeah, the pot that has guys like City and Arsenal.
Okay. Let's say you even play City once, basically, right? You lose to City once, you lose to Bayern once. Basically, you can still go demolish, Lille in France, demolish AC Milan, and
money, TV revenue. That's the bottom line, basically. But I hope we get to host some nice fixtures at home at the Bernabeu, so that Seth and the boys can actually get cooking. But yeah, Farouk, did you finish your final thoughts?
Yeah, man.
Or
I
did
was
we
just
just
talking
get
about.
carried away?
No. Just no injuries, man.
Kamavinga.
No injuries. No injuries. Shout out to Kamavinga and no injuries, bro. That's the final thought.
Yes,
Yeah,
see you, Mallorca.
yeah. For me, Mallorca would be a very tricky fixture. Whenever we have traveled away to Mallorca, we have seen Vini getting antagonized. It's going to be more of the same. More of the same. They're just going to be a bit more intimidated with Mbappe being there. Um, we have to be super
But it's
careful
good, no?
again.
That more of the
Yeah,
attention is going to be on Mbappe and not on Vinny.
100% for once, right? Yeah, for once it is actually a good situation for Vini to be in. But the fact that they will be just looking to leave something on every time they get into 50-50 with our boys, just as nightmare fuel for me. Mallorca wasn't the ideal game. Something like Anoeta, Sociedad, a bit more classier outing would have been my first choice, for our first ever fixture. But
For God's sake, do not put on Arda Guler on there or even Enric.
yeah, Endrick, I don't see him getting any minutes for the first 2-3 months. That's just the way it goes, I guess. Maybe in the Copa del Rey we might see a bit of him. Um,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be interesting, like how we kind of approach the whole thing. And basically, I just actually would have kind of wondered how we would approach the formation, but with that away, I think we
Is it breaking or is it
have
just
kind of figured out. Am I breaking?
okay? Now it's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, now
Am
it's
I
good.
back?
Now it's good. Yeah.
I was just looking at some of the comments. Farouk, can you do me a favor? I think my phone is kind of lagging. Can you check some of the YouTube comments, or should I just try again? Let me just try again. Let me
No,
just
it's
try
just
again.
it's the last comment you read actually. Like more minutes for Guler. We need to have a petition by Ashik as usual.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
that was the last thing you read. Anyways.
Yeah, that's for sure, right. Okay, I pick up every single one of in the chat. As always, there are people that have been sending in feedback over the years on Anchor, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Like I always say, this is what makes this podcast a bit different from the rest. It's because we tend to have healthy discussion. Unhealthy discussion will be never tolerated. I never really entertain it, and none of the boys do it as well. So just keep it clean and keep it simple. Talk, keep the conversation about football, and maybe the pod if you don't like or dislike anything that we do. And we'll keep it moving, guys. The amount of love that you guys showed, especially for the season preview, so many familiar faces from over the years. It was super humbling to see. Super humbling to see guys like S. Matthew, Madridista TV. They've been here for the longest time. Yeah, man. It's an honor to actually keep doing this. It ain't easy, Sahil, Farouk, we all know that, we kind of have to juggle, sometimes uni. In case Sahil's case, it's uni. In Farouk's and, mine, it is basically job. And lot of things, it ain't really particularly easy to do this week in, week out, but we, get the motivation because of, you guys' support and the incredible community that we have kind of built over the course of these 3.5 years, and also our friends, fellow friends in the football scene. People in the UK, big up Big Steve, big up the AFTV, big up guys like Turkish, Matisse, Chris, who has always constantly helped us. People like Samuel Marsden, people like Guillermo Rai, who we'll be hopefully getting to work with hopefully soon enough. Guys like Francesco, who is one of my biggest supporters behind the scenes. Super keen on what we have to say. Looks forward to what we he maybe necessarily doesn't listen to every single episode, but he definitely looks up what we do. So this sport has bought us a lot of lifelong friendships, a lot of good adventures, misadventures, especially in the case of maybe the season before the last, when we went out to City. But as life is, there'll be ups and downs, and I hope, like last season, I'm going to be a bit greedy that there'll be just ups this season. The signs are looking good. Big up our partners, Manscaped. LB at 20 to get 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Go check them out. Pioneers in men's grooming. They have stuff like trimmers, beard waxes, launchwear, you name it. Manscaped probably has it. LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Big up our partners, Real Madrid Committee. Also, OGs. Go check them out. They run a brilliant Instagram fan page as well. But yeah, people, thank you for the support again. Until next time, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid. Good night.
Sahil's intro unique, yeah? We never say good night, right, Farooq? I think we should try to improve.